Japan is famous for reliable sedans and quirky K-cars. But buried in its history are machines so powerful and so rare, they make even American muscle look tame. These aren't the cars you see at every Cars and Coffee. These are the forgotten Japanese muscle cars, built in tiny numbers, raced into legend, and today worth fortunes if you can even find one. And trust me, number one will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Japanese car culture. Number 10, 1972 Mazda RX-3 Savannah. If there's one car that proves Japan wasn't afraid to experiment, it's the Mazda RX-3, known at home as the Savannah. While other brands stuck to tried and true piston engines, Mazda doubled down on their radical rotary. And in 1972, the RX-3 arrived with the same sleek, coupé profile you'd expect from a muscle car, but hiding an engine unlike anything else on the road. The first models came with a 10A rotary engine, tiny in size, yet capable of revving like a maniac. Within a year, Mazda upgraded it to the more powerful 12A, giving the RX-3 enough punch to go head-to-head with the Skyline GTR in Japan's touring car races. The result? Over 100 victories by 1976, a number so outrageous it practically turned the RX-3 into a legend overnight. The RX-3's success wasn't just on the track either. It became a cult favorite for street tuners who wanted something unique, and to this day, spotting one at a meet feels like catching a glimpse of a unicorn. Rare, iconic, and undeniably Japanese, the RX-3 showed the world that muscle doesn't always have to come from big pistons and brute force. It can also come from innovation. And speaking of brute force, our next car didn't just borrow from American muscle. It looked like it could have rolled off a Detroit assembly line. Number 9, 1971 Mitsubishi Galant GTO. If the RX-3 was Japan rewriting the rulebook, the Mitsubishi Galant GTO was proof they could play America's game just as well. Debuting at the 1969 Tokyo Motor Show, it was instantly clear what Mitsubishi was aiming for: a Japanese Mustang. Long hood, short deck, round headlights, and even a ducktail rear spoiler. It had all the styling cues of Detroit muscle, but with a Japanese twist. The top-spec GTO MR packed a 2.0-liter inline-4, pushing out 125 horsepower. Again, not jaw-dropping by modern standards, but when combined with its lightweight frame, it was plenty to make the car quick on its feet. Mitsubishi planned to unleash a twin-cam version for Japan's Grand Prix Racing Series, but the 1973 oil crisis killed those dreams before they could hit full stride. And while the GTO borrowed heavily from America, Toyota was about to take the idea of a sporty coupe and make it its own, with a car that would redefine entry-level performance for an entire generation. Number 8, 1974 Toyota Corolla SR5. Mention the Toyota Corolla today and most people think of an everyday commuter, reliable, practical, and about as exciting as a washing machine. But back in the mid-70s, Toyota gave the Corolla a hidden muscle streak with the SR5 Coupe. The second generation Corolla arrived in 1970, and the SR5 trim stood out immediately. Instead of just being another economy car, this coupe packed a 1.6-liter engine paired with a lightweight body, giving it surprising punch for its size. It wasn't going to outrun a Camaro, but it offered affordable performance at a time when most buyers were looking for fuel economy. Think of it as Japan's answer to the Volkswagen Beetle crowd, only sharper, sportier, and much more fun to drive. Today, the SR5 is a rare sight, but when you do see one, it instantly feels like a time capsule, a Corolla that dared to be more. And Toyota wasn't done yet. In fact, their next stylish coupe would bring Italian flair into the Japanese market in a way no one expected. Number 7, 1968 Isuzu 117 Coupe. If there's one car that showed Japan could blend European style with Japanese engineering, it was the Isuzu 117 Coupe. While Isuzu is better known today for trucks and commercial vehicles, in the late 60s they wanted something glamorous, a halo car that could turn heads. What makes the 117 special is how ahead of its time it was. It was one of the first Japanese cars with fuel injection, and its luxurious interior, with wood trim, plush seats, and attention to detail proved Japan could build more than just economy cars. Production was limited, and even in Japan, spotting a clean 117 coupe today feels like stumbling across a forgotten classic. It may not have had the raw aggression of a Skyline or a GTO, but the Isuzu 117 Coupe represented something just as important, a statement that Japanese cars could be elegant, stylish, and world-class. And while Isuzu stepped away from passenger cars, Toyota was about to step in with a coupe that had both style and bite, the Celica GT. Number 6, 1975 Toyota Celica GT. By the mid-70s, Toyota had already realized something important. Not every buyer wanted a family sedan. Some wanted style, performance, and just enough muscle to feel like a sports car without breaking the bank. That's where the Toyota Celica GT came in. Introduced in the early 70s, the Celica was Toyota's take on the affordable pony car, compact, sporty, and fun to drive. The 1975 GT version stepped things up with a 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine, sharper torque delivery, and a 5-speed gearbox that made it surprisingly quick for its class. Reviewers at the time praised its crisp interior, reliability, and build quality, things that many European rivals couldn't match. Today, finding a clean mid-70s Celica GT is tough, but when you do, it feels like a glimpse into the moment Toyota began building its reputation as more than just a maker of economy cars. The Celica proved Japan could sell excitement as well as reliability, and it set the stage for one of the most beloved Japanese sports cars ever. Number 5. 1970 Datsun 240Z. When the Datsun 240Z hit the streets in 1970, it didn't just turn heads, it changed the way the world looked at Japanese cars. Known in Japan as the Fairlady Z, this sleek coupe packed a 2.4-liter inline-six producing 151 horsepower, wrapped in styling that felt straight out of Europe. Think Aston Martin profile, Jaguar curves, and Porsche-inspired headlights, but at a fraction of the price. The 240Z arrived at the perfect time. As American performance cars were beginning to struggle with new safety rules and rising insurance costs, Datsun offered a sports car that was fast, reliable, and affordable. It became an instant hit in the US, where buyers couldn't believe they were getting exotic car looks and performance for under $4,000. Collectors call it the Japanese 911, and even today, clean examples can fetch $30,000 to $40,000 easily. But beyond the value, the 240Z is remembered for sparking a wave of Japanese sports car enthusiasm worldwide. It wasn't just a car, it was a cultural shift. From one of the most famous Japanese sports cars ever, we shift gears to something far more obscure, a Datsun coupe that was rarely seen outside Japan, but left its own mark on the muscle era. Number 4. 1971 Datsun Bluebird SSS Coupe. If the 240Z was Japan's superstar, the Datsun Bluebird SSS Coupe was more of a hidden gem. Built as the Japanese market sibling to the Datsun 510, this coupe had its own unique flair that made it stand out. The Bluebird SSS featured a lower roofline, a sleeker rear window angle, and tail lights that stretched across the entire back panel, something you didn't see on the US versions. Under the hood, it carried the same dependable engines that made Datsun so popular worldwide, but in SSS trim, performance was turned up just enough to keep enthusiasts interested. Think of it as the underdog, a car that didn't grab headlines like the Skyline or 240Z, but still carved out a loyal following. And speaking of headlines, our next car wasn't just rare, it was the first Japanese supercar, and its price today proves just how important it became. Number 3. 1967 Toyota 2000 GT. Before the Supra, before the MR2, and long before Toyota became the world's largest automaker, there was the 2000 GT, the car that put Japan on the global sports car map. Launched in 1967, the 2000 GT was tiny in size but massive in ambition. Designed in partnership with Yamaha, it came with a 2.0-liter straight-six producing around 150 horsepower, paired with a sleek, flowing body that rivaled the best Europe had to offer. With its long hood, pop-up headlights, and perfect proportions, the 2000 GT looked like it belonged in an Aston Martin showroom. It wasn't just beautiful, it could perform. With advanced suspension, lightweight construction, and precision handling, the 2000 GT was closer to a race car than a showroom coupe. The 2000 GT was proof that Japan wasn't just chasing the competition, they were ready to stand alongside the greats. And yet, even this masterpiece couldn't overshadow the legend that came next, a car enthusiasts around the world know simply as Godzilla. Number 2. 1973 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR Hakosuka. If there's one name that makes Japanese car fans stop in their tracks, it's Skyline. And before the R32 made Godzilla a household word, there was the original legend, the 1973 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR, better known as the Hakosuka. The name itself is a nickname, Hako meaning box, and Suka short for Skyline. And that's exactly what it looked like, a boxy, muscular coupe with squared off lines that gave it a more American look than sleek Japanese style. But under that conservative body sat a monster, a 2.0-liter inline-six engine pumping out 160 horsepower might not sound huge today, but in the early 70s, it was more than enough to dominate. On the track, the Hakosuka was nearly unstoppable. It racked up 50 victories in Japanese touring car racing in just a few years, solidifying its reputation as a motorsport powerhouse. For enthusiasts, it became the ultimate dream car, the kind of machine you had posters of on your wall if you were lucky enough to even know it existed. And yet, as legendary as the Hakosuka is, there's one car that deserves the #1 spot on this list, not because it was the fastest, but because it was the rarest twist of all and a story most people never hear. Number 1, the Shelby-tuned Toyota 2000 GT. You've already seen the Toyota 2000 GT on this list, but what if I told you an even rarer version existed, one so scarce that even most car enthusiasts don't know it was ever built? Enter the Shelby-tuned 2000 GT. In the late 1960s, Toyota wanted to prove their new sports car could hold its own against the best from Europe and America, so they turned to none other than Carroll Shelby, the same man who transformed the Ford Mustang into the fire-breathing Shelby GT 350. Shelby was tasked with preparing a handful of 2000 GTs for racing in the US, and he did exactly what you'd expect: stripped weight, upgraded performance, and tuned the cars for serious competition. Only 3 of these Shelby-prepped 2000 GTs were ever built. That's right, 3. They ran in SCCA events, and while they didn't bring home the trophies Shelby had hoped for, they made a lasting mark as perhaps the rarest Japanese muscle cars ever created.